Welcome to Early Access. My name's Katie Whitlock. I'm here with Ava. Ava, it's nice to see you.
Hi, nice to see you too.
I'm excited to see you here. Normally, all my guests are I've never met them actually in person. They're just
really?
from the internet. But you are in one of the classes I teach in Cincinnati.
Yes.
So it's a lot of fun to have you here. It's also a lot of fun to have a young person in the class. I started this podcast because in all the Enneagram rooms I was in, I was the youngest by
really?
10 years at least, usually.
Yeah.
So it's fun to teach a class and have a lot of young people show up.
Yeah. I think it's fun to be in the class. It's also fun to be in a space where you're around people who are much older than you. I feel like sometimes I don't get that. So I've loved it. It's been a great experience.
Good. So you come with Emmy.
Yes.
Who is your friend who's a 3. She might be on the podcast later as well.
Yeah.
What made y'all sign up for it?
So she's always been interested in Enneagram, and she just knew about it from however, maybe college or something like that. And so when you came to that networking group that we're a part of and kind of shared, we were both she was like, I'm signing up for this course. Absolutely. And I was like, all right, I don't have anything on Mondays. I'll do it. And since joining the class, I'm obsessed. I love that I can learn more about how other people in my life, very 6 of me, how other people in my life are thinking and how they're interacting. So it's been such a great, I think it'll be 8 weeks next week, such a great couple months.
Good, I'm glad.
Yeah.
So you're a 6, you said already, and it'll be in the title. Did you might have told me the story already, but have you always known you were a 6, or did you have to kind of figure it out for a little bit?
No, it took I want to say I signed up for the course and then I was like, I want to figure out my number before I start. I had taken a test in college at a bar with a friend who was like, I need to know your Enneagram.
Yeah.
And I tested as a 7. And then I took a test right after I signed up and I tested as a 3. And I was like, whoa, I'm not a 3. I know that because I knew Emmy was a 3. So I spent a ton of time listening to different podcasts and using ChatGPT to be give me a test or give me questions that'll help me narrow it down. I thought at first I was a 4, and then I thought I was an 8, and then I thought I was a 6, which is kind of funny because we just talked about harmonic groups, and I was like, whoa. But I think that I went, and I know that I went through a ton of therapy 5 years ago that kind of helped me work through some of the anxiety and some things that would make you be like, oh, I'm a 6. And so I was like, well, I don't really think that. I don't really go there. But then once I kind of peeled back the layers of I go there first, but then I've learned how to be healthier in my number, hopefully. It kind of helped me realize that I'm hardwired like a 6.
Yeah. So what were the things in 4 and 8 that made you feel like you were those numbers?
So the creativity component of a 4, I would say that's one of my primary identities. I've always been super creative. I feel like I've mentioned this in class, but I recently have launched an interior design business and I'm very creative with with my outfits and style and stuff like that. So because that's such a huge part of my life, I feel like that was something that I kept hearing about 4. I thought that I might be that. And then also you have all of the things of connecting to other people and wanting to be understood. And, I feel like there is a lot of overlap in 6s and 4s, at least in their behavior, not necessarily in their motivations. So that sent me down that. But then the kind of desire to be alone or to, I don't know, if I don't think that they're withdrawn. Are they independent?
4s?
Mm-hmm.
4s are withdrawn. Yeah.
Withdrawn.
4, 5, and 9. Yeah.
So then the withdrawn, I couldn't be further from that. And so I was like, okay, definitely not a 4.
Scratch that.
Yeah, scratch that. Never can withdraw. And then I thought I was an 8 because of the incessant need of control. And I think that, and a little bit of aggression, and I've definitely been aggressive in past relationships or in my life, in my career, all of that. And so once I realized that the need for control is because I didn't trust that other people were going to do things right, and I wanted to be safe in that, then I realized oh, I'm not actually an 8. I don't actually care if someone else decides where we go to dinner or what we're doing. I don't actually care about that autonomy. I just don't want someone else to lead me astray.
Oh, that's a great distinction. I really struggle Just lately, I've been having a really hard time, like, if about the difference between 6 and 8. Like, I feel like I know the difference between 6 and 8, and I
Mhm.
can read it in other people, but it's really, really hard for me to figure out how to explain it to
Yeah.
especially, like, a 6 who feels like they're an 8 already.
Right.
Because, like you said, you can't talk about anger. Because 6s
Yeah.
are I think Joey Shuey will say right
Expressive.
behind 8s, 6s are the most likely to show their anger.
Yeah.
Like, they have no problem with it.
Totally. I've
Um,
never struggled being truthful about that.
right. Does it make you feel bad afterwards or no?
No, not if it's warranted. I can't imagine, or like I feel like my anger, I don't really share it anymore. It's like kind of something
Mm,
I've grown out of. But like I know like my like first relationship was very like not volatile in any like crazy way, but just like
yeah.
it's your first relationship and you're 18.
Yeah, you're young.
Yeah, you're just and like the fighting, like I feel so justified in what I'm saying. And I don't feel like I typically say things that I don't mean. But like I do recognize now that like sometimes my delivery could be harsh, but I
Mhm.
don't feel bad because I said it with conviction and like it's the truth.
Yeah.
So I don't often find that like I go into a blind rage. It's more so
Mhm.
just like a passionate expression of like what I think in my brain.
That's I really like the way you said that. I feel like 6s there are a lot of 6s out there in the world who talk like this with anger, right? They're like, "Oh, I get angry
Mhm.
all the time. I must
Mhm.
be an 8," or whatever they
Mhm.
say about it, right?
Right.
And I think it's so interesting that 6s get so angry, and I
Yeah.
wonder if there's anything so I just did another interview with a 6, and we were talking about how 6s when they feel like they're supported by something, they can be really, really strong in it, which is
Mhm.
interesting because 6s aren't supported by themselves,
Right.
right? They don't feel
Mhm.
supported. You don't feel supported like inwardly, but if
Yeah.
I can back myself up with enough stuff, then
Mhm.
I get really passionate about it, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Which I think is fascinating. I don't know. Do you have any initial thoughts about that? About
Well,
having to
I
find
think
something else to be supported by?
well, it's almost like once you found that and like if it's good enough for me to believe it, then like how can it not be good enough for somebody else?
Mhm.
Because like I think about like moving to Cincinnati was like one of the hardest things I ever did because I didn't know anybody moving here. And obviously I had a job offer in Chicago where everyone I knew was moving and then a job offer in
Mhm.
Cincinnati and the Cincinnati one was a better job. And so I was like I can't make this decision on my own. What if I make the wrong decision?
Yeah.
But after months of prayer, like, that was, like, the first time I'd ever really seen God, like, move in my adult life. Then to me, I was like, "Okay, this decision was made by God, not by me." And, like, if he even convinced me, then, like,
Yeah. Of
everyone
course.
else get
Yeah.
on board because,
Right.
like, I'm the hardest person to convince that I'm doing the right thing.
Why was that such a hard move for you?
I think part of it was well, I think most of it is the relationships that I formed in college were and still are some of the, like, most deep relationships of my life, and I was in college during COVID, so there was a lot of
Mm.
the 10 girls that I lived in a house with, we were together 24/7 because our classes were all online, and then the same with, like, my male friends, it was the first time in my life that I really had, like, male friends that I lived with, you know?
Mhm.
And so being that all of them would be in Chicago and I was gonna be the odd one out, and typically I'd been such a connector of the group, like, you get that as a 6. So,
Yeah.
I was just, like, devastated to be leaving everybody and to, like it would be the first time in my life I wasn't within a mile of a family member because both my older sister and younger brother went to the same college that I went to. So, it was just a huge period of transition, and I was terrified of being alone, and then it ended up being, like, the best thing in the world, but that's how it always goes.
I was just about to ask, like, were you scared
I was
of
terrified.
what
I
were
was
you scared of?
terrified
I know of being alone, but
Yeah, of being I was scared until I wasn't, and it, like, something just clicked, but it was the fear of being alone and just, like, everyone in my life would be, like, continuing on without me, and I
interesting.
guess I was scared of, like, the unknown, like, which, like, harkens back to security and stuff, it's like, well, I have no home base here, like, I have no idea what this is gonna be like, I've never been to Cincinnati in my life other
Mhm.
than the airport, like what is this gonna bring? Like, you almost can't contingency plan if the future is unknown. And so I think that was really scary.
I think you just said something that's so core 6. I think that was fascinating. Like, we talk a lot about 6s and their need for control,
Mhm.
which you already said, again, can make them think that they're 8s, right?
Right.
But it's because I want you to talk about this a little bit. Like, it's because I can't deal with the unknown, right? So I
Yeah.
need to know everything so then I can figure out what I'm going to do. So I need
Right.
to, like, how does that manifest in control?
I think it I think it starts off by, oh, like, I just need to know what my plan is gonna be so that,
Mhm.
like, if X happens to me, then I can do Y. Or, like, I've at least thought about it so that, like, when that situation occurs, it's not gonna be so life or death for me. But then where I think it manifests in control is, like, well, if the future is up to other people's behaviors and other people's actions, then, like, I don't know actually what that's gonna be, but if I can control it, I know what I'm gonna decide. So then, like, I can plan for my decisions, I can't plan for yours.
Mm.
And so I think it's like, sixes are constantly asking, like, their partners, like, "What are you thinking about this? What is your plan?" What because, like, I don't know if I'll ever get to a place where I'll fully trust that my partner is gonna do exactly, like, what I think should be done, and so I'm
Yeah.
constantly checking in to make sure that, like, I have that plan of, like because so much of my, like, heart and life is in that person's hands. So, like, if I'm not in control of it, I at least need to know what's happening.
Yeah. I think 6s walk through. I just did an interview with a 9. It actually just came out this week. And I wish I could remember what he said for 6s, but we went through the world views of all the types. And it's sort of like when I walk, like, what am I walking around believing about the world? Right? Just
Oh, that's really
kind of
interesting.
subconsciously, like, what do I believe about how the world works?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get it right, but the thing for 6s was like, the world is not safe. Like, and I
Yeah.
think actually, I think this is interesting. Do you think 6s believe that the world is not safe or that people are not safe?
I think it's a little bit of both, and I think instead of, like, unsafe, it's almost, like, unguaranteed because
Mm,
I even 'cause I most of the things, like, I distrust are relationships because
yeah.
I care the most about them, so if something were to go awry in my relationships, that would have the greatest impact on me, and you can't ever fully predict how a human is gonna behave. But then I also think, like, I have distrust in, like this sounds, like, silly, but, like, the stock market or, like, the government. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, so over the l like, look what happened in 2008." Like, that could destroy my life if
Oh, yeah.
everything it's stuff like that or, like, in our food supply, I get all, like, freaked out about that because 'cause I'm all, like, hippie, organic, all this stuff, so I'm like, "Okay, I just need to have, like, a farm, and
Yeah.
I need to be able to grow my own food just in case something" and it's like so, like, that's distrust in the world, which I think goes back to distrust in humans because it's like, who's
Yeah.
creating making all those decisions? It's other humans. But, yeah, it's like you don't know what's gonna happen in the future, so it's just scary.
So I love that you said anything that's not guaranteed feels unsafe.
1,000%.
So when we are talking about 6s and we're talking about safety and security and all these things, what we're really saying to a 6 is that you're afraid that things aren't guaranteed.
Yes.
Or you know that things aren't guaranteed, right? And
Yeah.
that causes anxiety
Yeah,
or whatever.
totally. Totally, and it's like if you can and it's like in your life, you can build up enough little nest eggs in different areas, like, you can almost, like, verify security within your romantic relationship by getting married. You can verify your financial security and having enough in savings. You can
Mm,
do all of those things, and I think that's, like, how sixes cope is by, like,
yeah,
trying to create as much security as possible so you don't have to constantly be, like, double checking and thinking about things.
right. So I want to talk about because I think like everyone would agree with you, right? That the world is not guaranteed and you
Yeah.
can't predict that other people are going to do and all the things. So what do you feel like is the difference in you that makes you react that way to that fact versus like when you think about Emmy or any of your other friends, whatever, anybody who's not a 6
Yeah.
in a good way or a bad way. Like, what's
Yeah.
happening in you that makes you react so strongly to, guys, none of this is guaranteed. What are we going to do? Right?
I guess and, like this is like a very like self-centered approach, but I just have the feeling that nobody else cares as much, which I know
Mm.
like can't be true. But it's like
It's probably a little true.
there could be elements, but it's like how can you not I guess like be constantly double checking things because like if things start to go awry, like it's that whole story of like if a plane is off by 1 degree, then you end up on the other side of the world. Like
Mm.
if you're not double checking things, like how do you know that's not happening? And it's almost like, okay, to me, you don't care. But like what I've
Yeah.
learned is like you're just not thinking about it. So it's not that you don't care. It's just that it's not crossing your mind, which is like I can't conceptualize that.
Yeah.
Like I truly can't.
And like, I'll tell you what's going on in my brain as a 3 when you were saying that, and then I'd like to
Yeah,
hear your
because I am
response.
curious.
Like, it's not that again, it's not that I don't care. I think it is true I
Yeah,
don't care as much as you. Like, you are a responsive person. You care more about our connection with each other, like, as a whole, right, as a group
yeah,
than I do, which I think is one of the best things about sixes. So it is sort of true. But the other thing is, like, to use the plane metaphor, if 5 hours from now, 5 hours into the flight, I realize we've been 1 degree off this entire time, well, you just correct it.
you just
Like,
self-correct,
it's
yeah.
you don't I don't have to figure it out in the beginning or
Yeah,
double check everything because I think, which is actually not always true, that you can always correct it later. Like, there's
yeah,
nothing that could I think that's that, like, illusion of control that we talk about with the 3, 7, and 8s, right?
yeah,
There's nothing that could happen to me that I couldn't, like, fix later. You know what I mean? "Oh, you're telling me we've been off this entire
right.
time? Well, let's adjust."
Well, and it's because you trust yourself. Like,
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
which is good. Like I should trust myself. Like I'm like an intelligent, capable, accomplished person.
Mhm.
And like what is it in me that says that if I get 1 degree off, then in 5 hours I'm not going to be able to correct accurately or it's going to be the biggest deal because anytime something catastrophic has happened in my life, I've handled it totally fine.
Yeah.
So, I think something that's important for me and probably other sixes is like reprogramming your how you think. And I think like we tell ourselves lies often. And I think truths such as that, like every scenario that you've ever had that you haven't that has gone awry,
Yeah.
like you've been able to solve is like a great mantra. I'm like so big into mantras because they help so
Yeah.
much because it's like repopulating your brain with truths.
Mhm.
So that's something
And
I
it's
admire in threes and in other numbers.
thank you. Here's the other thing. Sixes actually are the number to be trusted in a catastrophe, like, more than every other number because
Right.
you have thought about everything. And
Right.
sixes, like you just said, you don't know this about yourself, but you handle shit very well.
Yeah.
Like, all the time you handle shit well.
Yeah.
You
And
just don't
I
think you're gonna, right?
yeah, you think that like something's going to be beyond what you can do to fix it. But like in every I mean, I'm the first person that everyone in my life calls when something bad happens. And even my mom, she's like, if there were like a dead body, like you're the person I call because you'd be like, oh, obviously you do this and this and like,
Right, right, right.
and
Of
so
course.
it's right. And it's like, okay, so why don't I trust like myself to be that person, you know? Like, yeah, it is curious. Like the six is the person in your life that's gonna,
Yeah.
because they've thought about all of the worst case scenarios. It occupies their, like, I think like when I was preparing for this podcast, just like literally talking to myself,
Mhm.
of like what I'm gonna say in this hypothetical conversation, something that I said was like, you're contingency planning all day. And like, you only have so much time in a day to contingency plan because you do have to like be alive and like think about what's happening in the moment. And so I think that's why you try to like bucket things into safe or not safe. Like, don't need to plan for this as much anymore. Need to check in on this every single
Mhm.
day because like there's not enough time in the world to be constantly double checking on everything.
Yeah.
That was like a tangent, but
Do you no, it wasn't. It was good. Do you think this is just, like, the thing with sixes that you just can't explain? Like, I always want a 6 to tell me, "Why don't you trust yourself?" Like,
yeah.
tell me why, but maybe you just can't.
Yeah, and I think it's because we have such a broken relationship with thinking. Like
Mm.
if I sit and I do like a guided thought, like this podcast, and we've spoken through the fact that like, okay, hey Ava, if this happens, you'll be fine. Like now that I've thought like that through, I'm hoping that like going forward, when I notice myself trying to like correct the plane every single step of the way, that like that truth will hit me like, hey, you'll be fine even if you don't like check in on this every single day. And so, but I mean, like, I can't, I almost feel like I can't arrive at that thought on my own. And I think another human is like necessary to get to that point.
Yeah. I wonder if this is so fascinating. I keep referencing the interview I just did, but
Yeah.
it's like you're saying the same things different ways, which makes it
Yeah.
great. She
Yeah.
was saying there's like a void
Mm-hmm.
inside.
Yeah.
And to trust yourself, you have to have something to reference against in yourself, right?
Oh,
But she's
that's
like, I
really
don't have
fascinating.
anything to reference, and so I have to reference it against other people. Like
Yeah.
I might have an idea, but I have nothing inside of me to check it against. Just
Yeah.
nothing's there. So I have
Right.
to check it against other people.
Yeah. I guess it's kind of, it's like having an internal monologue or not. Like you couldn't explain to someone who didn't have one what it's like
Mhm.
to have one. But, like, vice versa, it's almost like in this scenario, I don't have that internal like, I don't have anything to check it against because, like, who am I to say that, like, what I think is correct? So that's why I
Yeah.
check so many things against other people or, like, that's why, like, religion has been so helpful for me because it's like, okay, I can just check it against the Bible, and, like, I know
Yeah.
that because I grew up in a church, and so, like, it's, like, implanted in my brain. So,
Right.
like, if I can check it against that, it's like, that's the moral code.
Yeah.
But and I think it's kind of interesting too because I think sometimes you can find sixes being like push back against authority, which is
Mhm.
something that also made me mistype as an eight. But it's like, well, if I don't trust that what you're saying is like right or like is moral, then I'm just not going to do it. And like I find that to be like a pitfall of mine, but also like a huge benefit. Like
Yeah, I agree.
because it can sometimes like, I have a lot of ones in my life, and I'm like, "Why are you doing this?" Like, it's a rule, but who made up the rule? Like, who
Yeah.
cares? And my mom, who's a 3, like, she's a huge rule follower as well, because she's like, "Well, this is what's, like, you're supposed to do."
Yeah.
And so I find it nice that, like, not only do I question, like, my authority, but I do question other people's authority.
And I think sixes also, like where I see that being helpful as well, is that sixes, like in a group, will protect the group from an authority that's like trying to
Yeah.
take advantage of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, surely.
So you can stand up
Surely.
for other people too. Again, you
Right.
have to have something outside of yourself that feels big enough to stand up for, right?
Mhm.
Which I think is another difference between 6 and 8. You
Yeah.
have to feel like there's enough evidence to be able to support yourself with it,
Yeah.
right? And your opinions. But once you do, like you're really good at saying, this person isn't good for us. We shouldn't listen to them, all the things,
Yeah,
whatever.
totally. Totally.
Do you have an example of that in your actual life?
Yes, and it's super like juvenile, but when
That's
I
great.
was a I was a, cheerleader my whole life growing up, and I was really good. I'm, like, the only person who's graduated from my high school with 12 letters, like, I did the whole thing, I, like, made it my whole thing,
What is that? What's a
and
letter?
like a varsity letter?
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah.
I know what that is. Never mind.
Yeah. But anyway, so I, like, knew that that was something that I was good at, and, like, with the creativity mindset I also, like, trusted my ability to, like, create and not just, like, be the cheerleader to, like, create the cheers kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, I think, like, 8 different coaches by the time I was a sophomore in high school.
Dang.
Yeah, there was just a ton of turnover because it was, like, a small affluent town and the moms just, like, loved to it was
Yeah.
just, like, sometimes a toxic environment. But there was a coach that came in and she started to last, and in my mind, she was the least qualified of all of the other coaches and less qualified than myself. So, I, like, was a ringleader and I look back and I'm, like, mortified that I behaved this way, but, like, I was a ringleader for, like, everything she said. I was like, "Guys, we're not doing that."
Yeah.
And we didn't. And, like, I was able to, like, draw consensus and be like, "She doesn't know what she's talking about," and, like, I didn't wanna look like a fool, and I was afraid that with her direction, like, we would, and we'd be putting all of our time into, like, competing and, like, stand cheerleading in itself can be like embarrassing in a way because you're like, what am I doing? Why
Yeah.
am I
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
And I was like, I
Yeah.
don't want to make that worse. Like I had the self-awareness of like, okay, like we're not really doing a whole lot.
Yeah.
So it's like I didn't want to make it worse. And I remember anything that she said to do, I was like, this isn't something that we'll do. And we like never did. And I feel horrible. I'm like, I probably made her life like terrible coaching us. And what a little menace. But like I truly had conviction that like what she was saying wasn't good for us. And then
Yeah.
I was like, we're not doing this.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting that it's not that you just didn't do what she wanted everybody to do. You were like, you like got everybody on your side, which again,
Totally.
I don't think is like a good or bad thing.
Yeah.
I would feel the same way looking back on it, but whatever. Like how old were you?
I was like, what? I don't know, 16.
Like 16. Yeah.
Yeah.
We all do
Yeah.
things when we're 16, right?
Yeah.
But I also think that's interesting. Like that's really interesting is that not only am I not going to do this, like I'm very community oriented and I'm going to get everyone else to also not do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody else. Because
Yeah.
if everyone was doing it and I was the only one not, at that point, it's not worth it. I'm like,
Right.
okay, fine. I'll do the silly thing or wear the
Right.
silly pants or whatever it is. But yeah, like I needed everyone else to like validate me in that
Mm-hmm.
like we're doing this as a team. Like
Yeah.
we're going for it. It's not just me.
Well, and also, was there any part of it that's like, I can't be the only one not doing it because then I'm the outsider?
Yeah.
Like,
And
it's
then
not
I'm
that
the
she's the
weirdo.
outsider. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
the weirdo. Yeah.
Right. And like that's why sometimes like it's so frustrated. Like when I come out of something and am so passionate and like no one agrees with me, I'm like, okay, so I'm wrong. Like,
Yeah.
because like I can't just say like, wow, everyone else is stupid. I don't trust that. So to me, I'm like, wow, I'm wrong. That sucks.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. When in reality, like I could be right. I just am
Yeah.
different than everyone else. And like I think a lot of times if you're doing the thing that's different and you have no other like scope for if that's right or not, you're like, okay, it's wrong.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back to you said you started your interior design business.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And when you sent in your information to be on the podcast, you talked about how you really struggled with procrastination around that for a
Yes.
long time. Like you knew you
Yep.
wanted to start it for a long time. You really, really struggled with the like getting to doing it part.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is one of those like behavior motivations things. Like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
numbers struggle with procrastination, right? Ones,
Really?
threes. I think a lot of nines, a lot of numbers struggle with procrastination, but it's all for different reasons, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So tell me why. Let's talk about that. Where did the procrastination come from?
It's so interesting. I think part of it is a fear of failure, which I think
Mm-hmm.
is like everyone's fear of that. And like putting myself out there in a way that's like, okay, I could fail. But also it's like, okay, like let's say this takes off and I like actually am able to do this full time. Like then I have a job where I don't have a 401k and I don't have all of the security of working for like a Fortune 5 company that I work for right now. So I think it's like the avoidance mindset and also like wanting to do it perfectly if I'm gonna do it and not like embarrass myself, which like as I say that is like not very six, but I think I just like really care about it. And I'm curious to hear your opinion on if you think these two things correlate.
Mm-hmm.
So like I mentioned cheerleading, that was something I was like,
Yeah.
I'm right about this. I think a lot of times as well with interior design, I'm like, I'm right about this. And if you don't agree, like you have bad
Mm-hmm.
taste because it's like it can't be right or wrong.
Yeah.
And I am so confident in like how my space makes me feel and there's also like external validation, but even if everyone was like I think that's weird, I'd be like I don't really
Yeah.
care,
Well,
like
it's
it's
mine.
cool.
So
It's
yeah.
mine.
Yeah.
So I'm curious like if you think like okay, I'm afraid opening up like the one thing about me that I actually don't question to the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're designing for somebody else, like you're within their I don't want to create a space that I love. I want to create a space that they love. So
Yeah.
like would it like kind of like would there be friction between like what I think is right and what they think is right? Would I be co-signing onto something that like I don't actually like? So I think there's like more there than just like starting the business.
Yeah.
It's like what it would mean.
What it entails. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll answer that with a statement and then a question. I had another six tell me that we were talking about the difference between ones and sixes.
Mm-hmm.
she actually probably, her podcast will have probably been out by the time this comes out too.
Okay, cool.
But she said the difference between ones and sixes, which I think I've shared in our class as well. Ones are black and white for themselves and for the world. Like ones have a very black and white way of viewing the world.
Yeah.
Sixes are black and white for themselves, but they understand that other people live in gray. Like they understand that the world is a little more gray, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder, I'm really shooting from the hip here. This might be no. The answer to this might
Right.
be no. Because sixes have so few things that feel black and white to them,
Mm-hmm.
and because you are searching for a guarantee,
Mm-hmm.
like this one thing that you do feel like you know yourself really well on,
Mm-hmm.
if I start opening it up to other people and getting other people's opinions on interior design and what they think, and like, what if they say the thing that I really like? What if they hate it and they give me all the reasons why they hate it? Like, what if that makes me start to second guess the one black and white thing I have?
Absolutely. I think
Does that track?
totally it does. And that's why I think I wanted it to be perfect. Cause like, I don't know that I could live with if someone, so like, this might be like a path. So stay with me. But like, I created something that I like, but like, there could be flaws in it. Like, obviously, I know that like I could have done something better sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And so then someone comes in and finds that, and then they like discredit my whole thing. Then it's like, I don't know if I would be able to like live with myself after that, because
Yeah.
it's like, I could have prevented that. Now they have me second guessing, like, does everything I produce have mistakes in it? And then I'm like, okay, well now, and then I go into like full six mode. Like everything is like the end of the world. No one's going to ever trust me again. I can't ever make a
Yeah.
career out of this, like all of that stuff. And so it's like, yeah,
And do you think you would like start to come home and look around and be like, well, I thought I liked this, but maybe I don't, you know, or I thought this was very put together and cute, but maybe it's not. Like, do other people walk in my house and think that it's not cute, or I don't know. What
I
do you think you struggle
wonder,
with that?
but I don't think that I would in my own space.
Okay, that's good.
Because it's like, if I look at it every day, I've thought about it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And like, I know I like it, or at least liked it in the moment in which it was created.
Yeah.
So like,
I love it just based on what I can tell.
thanks.
So for
my
everyone
shower
listening, when we joined this call, before we started recording, I was like, "Oh, are you in your parents' house?" And she's like, "No, I'm in my apartment."
Yes,
And I
it's
mean this as the highest compliment ever, okay? Because I love it. But she has a very comfy looking couch behind her, like a bunch of stuff up on the walls that looks really, really cute and like put together, and like things are mismatched, but they match way. There's a lot of patterns everywhere. There's a lot of color everywhere.
Thank
And I
you.
asked if she's in her parents' house because it looks like the type of decor that takes a long time to put together. You know what I mean?
It's very eclectic. Like 90% of the stuff in here is from my parents' basement in some way. Like
Great.
it was painted, or like I, saw something that I liked and then went and got it at TJ Maxx. So like
Mm-hmm.
it's so much more than just like, people will say like, oh, ChatGPT could take that job. And I'm like, they could not do what I do,
No, they
because
couldn't. Yeah.
it's so much sourcing, and like there's so much love behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think it looks like someone's mom decorated it, and I like love that. Like,
But it's great. Yeah, now I want you to come to my house and do my house, because that's what I want my
totally
house to
will.
look like. Like, it's
Yeah,
great.
cozy.
And it's
Yeah,
loved. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
not like you just went on one trip to TJ Maxx and bought like whatever
right.
like mass produced stuff they had in like that one trip.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, you
definitely.
liked all the things and you put thought into it and all the stuff. So
Yeah,
it looks
thank
very
you.
good.
I
Of
appreciate
course.
that.
Okay, to get back to sixes. So I talked about other numbers struggling with procrastination. I don't want to leave procrastination yet.
Yeah.
I want to go around. I named ones and threes and nines. And I mean, all numbers could probably struggle with procrastination in some ways, but I'm just going to talk about those three because those are the first that came to my head. And I want to
Mhm.
do sort of like a compare and contrast.
Okay.
Like, what do I relate to in that, and what do I
Mhm.
not relate to in that? Like, why is it different? So ones, I hope I get this right. Ones, if you're listening, I'm sorry if I'm misrepresenting you. I think ones would struggle with procrastination just because of the perfection thing, right? Like, ones are
Mhm.
perfectionists in the strictest sense of the word, that they are chasing perfection and they're never going to get it, right? Because it
Yeah.
doesn't exist. It doesn't
Yeah.
exist. And so
Right.
ones, also because they're black and white thinkers, if I can't make this perfect, why would I even start? I can't
Mhm.
even see a way to make this perfect. I don't know how to, because from the very beginning, it has to be perfect, right? It's not like I can
Mhm.
create a bad first draft and then edit it later.
Mhm.
Like it needs to be perfect, and I don't know how to do it perfect, so now I can't start, right? So let's go number by number. In that description, is there anything that you relate to? Is there anything you don't relate to? Or like, yes, I relate to this, but I would add this part onto it as a 6.
I
What are your
definitely
thoughts on that?
relate to the, like, wanting something to be perfect. I can relate to wanting something to be perfect so it looks like this huge mountain. And, like, that happens
Mm,
at work, like, the teeny tiny tasks, I'm always doing those. But the
yeah.
ones that would maybe uncover something larger, I avoid. And we can talk about this when we get to nines, but it's kind of the thing I emailed you about of, like, once you stop searching, I guess, like, once you start to, like, trust whether it's false or not, but, like, you discredit your anxiety in a way, and you start to just say, like, "Everything's gonna be fine, it's all gonna be fine." I think a lot of times in that you can slip into, like, low 9 and be avoidant of
Mm-hmm.
things, and I
Mm-hmm.
find that's when I procrastinate on a weekly basis, but when I procrastinate in, like, my life, I think that's where it ties into. I think that's where I go.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes total sense. We can, okay, so let's do nines because you did email me. Listeners, Ava sent me an email 2 weeks ago or something, a
Yeah,
week ago. It
yeah,
was after we had done stress and security in the class that I was teaching. And we talked about obviously 6s go to 3 in stress, they go to 9 in security. But we talked about how you can access like low or high versions of both of those numbers. So you can be
yeah,
in low stress or you can be in high stress, like pick up the healthy parts of 3 and be in stress in a healthy way, right? Or you can
mhm,
go to 9, you can be in security in a healthy way in high 9. Or all of us do this, by the way, with all of our numbers. Or you can be in the low side of your security number.
mhm,
And Ava sent me this email like a few days afterwards, which I thought was really, really fascinating because in the class you actually said, "Oh, I recognize more 9." Is that what you said?
yeah,
I
yep,
recognize myself in the 9 more than I
yeah,
recognize myself in 3, which is interesting because usually people can see their core number and they can see their stress number really easily. And
mhm,
security number is usually something where they're like, "Yeah, I don't get there very often."
yeah,
But you were like, "Oh no, I see low 9 in myself all the time." And then you had a
all the
reason
time.
for it. So walk us through why you think you're in low 9 a lot.
So, I think and I have this theory that's just in my head, but that, like, several sixes would relate to this, especially probably female sixes,
Mm,
because, okay, so we're such verbal processors, and, like, anything that happens, it's like I call my mom immediately, or I call my girlfriend, or call my boyfriend. Like, I, like, need to, like, get it out and
mhm,
talk about it. So when you're feeling anxious about something, which for a 6 is often, it's like, okay, I'm talking to people like, "Oh my gosh, this is stressing me out so much." But I think oftentimes, depending on what number that person is, or just like being a human being, they're like, "Don't worry about it. It's all going to work itself out." And so you start to tell yourself, because you know that your anxiety is partially like, you know that you have deep down like a broken relationship with thinking, because you're
yeah,
like, okay, I'm thinking ad nauseum, and it's not always accurate, but sometimes it is. So you're told to, like, distrust that thinking and, like, distrust your anxiety, when I think sometimes you can be having anxiety, and you should be, because,
mm,
like, there's something that's actually bad that's happening, but you're telling yourself, like, "Okay, so distrust this, put this out of your mind," and so you've suddenly gone from my core motivation of feeling safe, I've told myself, like, that doesn't matter anymore.
yeah,
So, like, by Enneagram terms, I believe, like, that would be moving into my security number. It's not that I'm trying to solve, for something and my usual tools aren't working, it's that I'm telling myself, "Don't solve for it, it doesn't matter." And so it's like this false sense of everything's gonna work itself out, but I know it's not. Like, that part of that anxiety is rooted in truth. And so you avoid and avoid and avoid, because if you really do, start to go back into, like,
mhm,
valuing the security of it, you'll realize, like, how much of a problem it is.
yeah,
And so I think I'm more likely to do that than I am to frantically do or, like, slip into some of the low 3s, which I definitely do that from time to time as
mhm,
well. But I think, like, me trying to be, like, healthy or whatever, it's like, oh, don't worry about it. And it ends up being like even more unhealthy because I just go
Yeah.
into low 9.
Yeah. Low 9 is like, I like technically I got here, but not in a good way, you know?
Yeah.
So for
Yeah.
anyone, also for anyone listening who hasn't heard me teach stress and security, I think other people teach it in a similar way, but I just use these words. I say we go to stress when our core motivation is not being met and our normal tools are not working.
Mm-hmm.
So like for me as a 3, I really want to be valuable. I really want to be admired. And for some reason, like performance isn't working anymore. So I start to pick up the tools of 9, which is just like stepping off the stage. You know, I don't want to be seen as a fool. So I'll get
Mm-hmm.
a little quieter. I'll get smaller, all the things.
I won't try.
I won't try, right? All the stuff. I teach that security is when you can get to the point. Well, I teach the security is when you can kind of let go of your core motivation for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what Ava is saying is that as a 6, she's actually kind of being forced into 9 by being told that her core motivation doesn't matter,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And because you're a 6 and you don't have anything to reference in yourself, you're like, okay,
Okay, I'll do it.
I'll
Like,
try, right? Which
yeah.
of course is not a health, as you're saying, it's not a healthy way to get there. So we're
Mm-mm.
in low 9 now. We're not in
Mm-hmm.
like healthy security space 9. We're in
No.
low 9, right?
Yeah, we're in low 9 because I don't truly believe that everything's going to be
Yeah.
okay. But I'm telling myself that. And I think that I saw in low 9 on your slides that sometimes you'll turn to like numbing behavior.
Mm.
And it's like if I can turn on Netflix or if I can turn on a podcast and like not allow myself to think about what I was told to not worry about, then like I'm numbing it. And
Yeah.
I really related to that. Like in college, it's like, oh, I'll just go out and drink with my girlfriends. I won't worry about it. And it's like, it's a really unhealthy coping mechanism when, I mean, ultimately my core desire isn't being met.
Yeah. What I'm hearing here is because you don't feel supported and because you don't feel like you have a lot of information to back yourself up, because other people are telling you, don't worry about it,
Hmm.
you're going in a 9.
Yeah, that is interesting because I think about like the scenarios in which I go into that like low 9 state. And it's like if I would have stayed in the conversation that I was having like 5 more minutes,
Mm-hmm.
I could have maybe gone into 3.
Yeah.
Because it's like I would have said, like, no, I actually do need to be anxious about this because blank, blank, blank. And if I was
Mm-hmm.
validated in that, they'd been like, oh, wow, you do need to worry about it. And then I'd been
Yeah.
like, let's
Oh,
go.
yeah.
Like, let's
Yeah.
do.
Got it.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's so interesting. I think first just a compliment. Like no one, I mean, maybe other 6s have thought about it, they just haven't told me about it, but like no one's ever brought that up to me. So I think it's really, really cool that you were thinking about it enough and like knew yourself enough to say that this is what's happening in me.
Thanks.
Also, especially because you're a 6, like you hadn't been taught that, you came up with that on your own, which I
Yeah.
think is, and then you told me, which I think is great, you know?
Thanks. Oh my gosh, no, I eat this stuff up. I love I mean, like, I feel like this is just like a universal, like, female experience for like
Yeah.
talking about yourself and the way you think and like all of that.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about 9s a little bit. Let's just finish the thought with 3s
Yeah.
and procrastination, and then I'll ask you kind of my last
Yeah,
question
because
that
I'm
I ask
curious.
everybody.
I don't see the 3s in my life procrastinating often. So I'm curious what it looks like. Are you like procrastinating, thinking, feeling, doing? Like, very curious.
I think when I procrastinate, I don't maybe I think there are some 3s that like really don't procrastinate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I just know in myself, like maybe other people don't see me procrastinating, but I know that I'm putting stuff off.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's because it's probably a few things. It's because, like, reason number 1 might be that I feel like this is going to lose me support. Like,
Mm.
maybe I feel like I should do something, I need to do something, but it's not going to look good. I'm going to look like a fool in front of people. I'm going to make some people
Oh.
really upset. Like, I don't want to make, 3s get this description of like just doing whatever we want all the time and we don't care about you. We
Mm-hmm.
really care about you and what you think of
Yeah.
us, right? So I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do something that's gonna make somebody like so pissed off at me. Why would I do that?
Right.
So if it asks our reputation, I'm gonna procrastinate it. I think the other thing is like if I'm going to be bad at it, I'm going to
Mm,
procrastinate it. And I
mhm.
think for threes, sometimes because we don't like to admit that we're doing something because we can't. Like if I'm not doing something, it's because I chose not to do it, not because I can't do it. Right.
Right.
So I think that we don't like show other people that we're procrastinating. We're just like, oh, I didn't do that for these reasons.
Yeah, like,
But
it
like
was a
the real
choice.
reason is because I thought I was going to be bad at it and I was going to look stupid. And I
Yeah,
don't want anybody to see me look stupid, you know?
right, so I just won't do it, I just won't try,
Yeah.
like, because it's, like, way less embarrassing to not
Yeah.
try and do and not and fail than to try
Yeah.
something and fail it.
And I think we're really good at disconnecting from like, yeah, and that makes me feel really bad about myself. So it comes like I think other numbers would feel that way and then feel bad that they didn't do it. But I think threes are
Mhm.
so good at disconnecting from that that we forget to like feel bad. So other people
Yeah.
don't see us being affected by it, but we are.
You've almost, like, convinced yourself of
Yes,
what you're telling
exactly.
yourself.
That's a
Yeah.
great way to say it. Yes, you have. Yeah, it's that self deceit part.
Mhm.
So anyway, but it's all image, like all of that is image focused, right?
Right, totally.
Whereas, what would you say for a six?
I actually wrote notes on this, like, so I was having a conversation with my partner this week, and he's a 2, and so, like, there are value things obviously tied up there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of times we'll do or not do the same things, as a 6 or as like a 3, 2, but it's obviously for very different reasons.
Yeah.
And I said something in our conversation. I was like, I don't want a wealth indicator. I want wealth. Like, I don't care if people know that I'm financially secure. I just want to
Mm,
be financially secure.
mm-hmm.
And I think that that kind of relates in a way because it's like, I don't know, and this kind of contradicts what I said about the interior design thing, but, like, I don't know that I care so much about, like, succeeding or failing for other people's perceptions of it, but, like, if I fail at this, am I closing the door to other things in my future?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
like, that would provide me security.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think we do act the same
I
in a
wish
lot
I
of
felt
ways.
that way.
It is
I
it's
wish
a
it was just
yeah.
about that. Like
Yeah.
I think it gets tiring to be so worried about what other people are thinking about you all the time.
Well, and, like, with social media, I cannot imagine the burden because,
Yeah.
like, I can't imagine it. That's something Emmy and I'm sure that in her podcast, she'll talk about, her relationship to social media, but
With
it's like
Emmy.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's been such a cross of hers to bear, and it's like, again, it's something I can't conceptualize because, like, as long as I'm not posting something that would make someone in my inner circle that's necessary to, like, me being happy and fulfilled upset, then I really don't care.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's tough.
See, there's pros and cons to all this.
There
To all
is.
of it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Alrighty, here's my last question. Go back 10 years. You're 15.
Mhm.
What would you tell her?
So I've thought about this and it's like I if I were speaking to myself from the future and like that source was validated, then I would tell her everything. Like I would be like, you're gonna you're gonna find love. You're gonna
Yeah.
be okay. Like just go crazy for the next 10 years because you actually
Yeah.
don't have to worry about it. These are the things you do have to worry about though. And but I think if it were someone like if I could go back in time and it wasn't so meta and it was like you're just giving advice to a
Yeah.
15-year-old, I think I would tell her to lean more on her faith than she thinks cuz like it's something I procrastinate as well because I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it will tell me things I don't want to hear. But it's been such a saving grace and like having a higher power I think is so important for sixes and whatever that higher power might be. Like you might
Yeah.
find solace in the law and you could start being more one
Mm-hmm.
like. And that could be
Mm-hmm.
like a really great thing for you or like Confucius's teachings, I don't know.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But like for me like having grounding and then like actually knowing the Bible and knowing things internally, it's a game changer. The
Mm-hmm.
only things in my life that I stop spiraling about are things that I whether it's true or not, have convinced myself are from the Lord and things like to do with creativity.
Yeah.
And so that's what I tell her.
That's
I'm
great.
curious though, like what would your answer be to yourself?
That's a good question. Nobody has ever asked me that. I would like hold my face. So I would be 17 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I was at the end of high school and I was about to go into college, which college was like the hardest time of my life for me because I had no idea how to make friends.
Mm.
All I knew how to do was like put on a shell of
Mm-hmm.
friendship. You know what I mean? But I
Where
didn't know
did
how
you
to
go to
like
school?
actually. I went to Wash U in St. Louis.
Okay.
So I was about 5 hours away from home.
Yeah.
And what I would do is I think I would hold like my face as a 17-year-old and like in the tenderest way possible and with as much love as possible, I would tell her like, you are not as important as you think you are.
Mm-hmm.
You need to open yourself up to like other people being right and other
Mm-hmm.
people offering you something, and like spend the next 5 years learning how to be a good friend and like
Mm.
decentering yourself from your life. Because I didn't know,
Yeah.
like, it's not like I was like evil and doing all these things, right?
No.
But like my college life would have been so much more fun if I had learned how to make a friend and like a real friend,
Yeah.
especially a female friend. Like, that's what I've
Yeah.
always struggled with is female friends.
Yeah.
And it's because of that. It's because I carried this air of like, I think that I know everything.
Well, what is interesting, and I will make this short and sweet, but
That's fine.
when you said decentering yourself, I think I'll copy that and tell my 15-year-old self, decenter yourself as well, because I think the best benefit I've gotten from learning the Enneagram over the last 2 months is that I've realized that everyone thinks differently, obviously,
Mhm.
and I center myself in other people's lives and assume that they're doing the same to me. So if they do
Mhm.
something that hurts me, I assume it's deliberate, because if I hurt somebody, it would be deliberate. And learning that that's not the case takes like such a burden and so much judgment off of other people, and has been like seriously a weight lifted off of my chest. So I think that that's something that I would tell myself is decenter yourself. But in obviously
great.
such a different way.
Yeah. For different reasons and from different places and all the things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that's great. Well, thank you, Ava. This was incredible.
Thank you. And likewise.
You have such a lovely way of talking about yourself and
Thank you. It's because I'm always
saying
thinking about it.
Saying what's going on. Well, it was lovely. I appreciate you.
Yeah, likewise. All right.
Hey friends, it's Jeff. We're getting to interview some of the most intriguing people in the Enneagram world. There are already 20 plus interviews up at aroundthecircle.org, and we're continuing to add more. That site is where we're gathering and platforming all of our best work. Much of it is available for free. Katie Whitlock and I have been doing deep studies working through wings, stance, fear, anger, and shame in our Rewired series. I'm beginning to release chapters from my next Enneagram book, which I'm calling The Steps, for early review for your consideration. And we have monthly online workshops in which 30 or so folks gather to talk about their type. There's audiobooks, there's videos, there's lots of fun stuff, lots to like. Go to aroundthecircle.org, and may all good things be yours.